You're listening to CreepGeeks Podcast. So it begins again. Welcome back to the CreepGeeks Podcast, episode 294, season 7.
Amazon's Project Nessie, tired of demons, and sleep paralyzers.
Yeah. So it begins again. Welcome back to the podcast. If you thought this was Mysterious Universe, nope.
You are disappointed.
That's right. You wish. So anyway, I heard the song, thought it reminded me of Mysterious Universe. So if you're not familiar with Mysterious Universe, they are a podcast done by two smart people. And they're from Australia, I guess. So there you go. They have accents that makes them cooler than us.
Yes, that's very true.
So yeah, there you go. So if you're listening to us, Mysterious Universe, stop stealing our podcast ideas.
Don't throw a gauntlet
No, they have
down.
Amazing ideas. They actually read books and then talk about stuff.
Right? Instead of just flipping through Google search for like 2 minutes.
Well, we have stuff to do, and evidently that's all they do, which is good. It's worth a listen. So anyway, kind of poke at them a little bit, but it's a good podcast. And now they're all doing video and stuff, so it's just weird. I don't know if I like it better without knowing what they look like, or if I like it. It's just odd. So
it can be a bit.
I mean, now, okay, so I've seen enough to where they're the big head guy and the not big head guy. They're starting to match their voices, because before, the picture you painted in your head is obviously going to be different than the way they look in real life.
I gotta say though, Aaron does look like his voice to me.
I don't know which one. I always get him confused. Is that the big head fella?
I don't think they have big heads, so I'm not a good source there of opinion, but Aaron does look like his voice, except his voice is much younger than
the way he looks.
Yeah, so.
Yeah. Lame.
Anyways.
All right, so anyway, this is the CreepGeeks Podcast. I'm Greg.
I'm Omi.
We have a couple different ways for you to get a hold of us if you'd like to interact with the show.
Sure.
And you can certainly do that with our toll-free number.
Yeah. Give us a call. The phone number, it's going to be 575-208-4025.
That's right. Toll-free Roswell area code.
Of course.
Nobody cares. So.
You can also reach us on our website, creepgeeks.com. Click on the Contact Us. It'll take you to our Contact Us form, which only decides to let us know that you've contacted us when it feels like. So, yeah.
It is what it is. Could be worse.
Yeah, you can also find us all over social media. Join our Facebook group. We do a lot of stuff in there, mostly funny stuff, but we always take show suggestions and show ideas in there as well.
Yes. So speaking of contact form, we did get a couple contact messages from contactees. So, it's pretty simple. Basically, the form says, where did you hear about us from, or how are you contacting, or where are you coming from when you contact us? And it wants to know, like, what platform. Mm-hmm. So this one is from Podbean, then Spotify, and Patreon.
Oh, okay.
Yes. And her comment, because she's commented before, she's our peanut butter liquor forever. She basically says, "Hey guys, just as Greg was about to get into his groove about the big thing coming, the audio seemed to end, and basically that was the latest episode." So it just ended. And so she deleted it and tried to re-download it, and it didn't come back. And so this was 2 podcast episodes ago.
Yeah.
Where it just seemed to stop where we were about to talk about Amazon, and Amazon owns Ring cameras, and it was a contest basically where if you captured some proof of alien life and submitted it, you could possibly win $1 million.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And just when we started to talk about, hey, Amazon at one time was, if you didn't opt out of it, would take your footage and stuff and could make like a neighborhood mesh type network. And that's where it ended. And she's not the only one that said this. This came from our other patrons as well, saying what happened.
Yeah.
So I tried to upload it again.
Yeah.
and it wouldn't let me. I couldn't get it to upload, so it kept the old one there. And I'm like, well, I'm gonna quit messing around before I inadvertently blow up 294 episodes somehow.
Yeah, probably smart.
Yeah, so I do appreciate reaching out and letting us know. She also said, I really enjoy hearing a bit of banter every now and then about my diabetes. Nice.
Okay.
Well, she has a younger brother who has type 2, and it's been a part of their lives. So, yeah. And she makes mention of weird cousin sugars.
Weird cousin sugars? Yeah. Okay.
So it's pretty cool. Not a big fan of talking about shrinkflation and economic, I'm going to say dipshittery.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, you seem to really get fired up.
I do, because I'm tired of getting screwed, man. We're getting played.
I know.
Oreos are smaller. All the good stuff, and it's not good stuff, it's bad stuff, is smaller. And then they do stuff like keep it in the same size packaging. So that'd be an obvious, indicator you're about to pay more and get less. If the bag was smaller.
Yeah.
Right? Even if they put a sticker on it saying waste, for saving waste or whatever, trying not to make waste. No. They're even like putting little indentations in the plastic. So when you used to get like 6, you only get 5.
Yeah. And
you're supposed to be okay with it. And they're making record profits. It'd be okay if they were hurting. For like, look, man, we're hurting. So if you that one cookie will, I would understand. But they're not hurting.
Yeah.
It just means they're just doing it to be wrong.
Greedy.
Yeah, greedflation. So anyway, that's pretty cool. I appreciate the comment. Also, there was another comment because we have in the past talked about Airbnb owners and their unrealistic expectations.
Yeah.
Doing things like you need to pay a cleaning fee, but you also need to clean. Things like that. So, and if you don't clean, we're going to charge you $250. And if you don't clean well enough or you break our rules, we're going to charge you. But it's like, just go to a hotel.
Yeah.
If you're going to have to do this work, just go to a hotel.
And I was reading today because somebody where I work had brought up Airbnbs. So I looked up something, clicked on the first thing, which was obviously one of those top 15 lists. And it was a lot of these horror stories about, getting charged an additional $80 fee because you left 2 dishes in the dish rack.
Yeah.
And there was one where the Airbnb host called the police on somebody because they had Ring cameras installed in their home and they caught the person drinking from a carton of orange juice that was in the fridge. And basically, granted, it did have a little piece of tape on it that said mine. But how petty is that?
What are these people? Is the Airbnb owner sleeping in the next room? It's like, I'll just be in here, guys. Just do what you got to do. I hate it. I hate it.
And that one led into the whole, there was this one about this woman who was being followed by security cameras inside the Airbnb that she rented.
If we're ever in an Airbnb for whatever reason, and I see a pan tilt zoom camera moving around following us, I'm going to knock it off the wall with a golf club.
And you'll probably have to pay a damages fee.
Joke's on them. Because I won't pay a damage fee. I'll do something like put it on the internet and 17 people will just flame them, right? And go ahead, give me a bad rating with Airbnb as a customer. I don't care, because here's the deal. My privacy is worth more to me.
Yeah.
Why do you need to follow me around the house, you weirdo pervert? And that's the only reason why people have cameras in the houses that would do that. It's not because they're making sure their investment is safe. They want to voyeuristically peep upon you.
Well, that seems to be their statement that they're sticking by.
That's a garbage statement.
Both these short-term rental companies and the people who host homes through them.
See, the problem is that in their little ecosystem, their little sphere of Airbnb owner, operator versus renters, they act like what would be considered unusual or not normal to the average person.
Yeah.
They don't you don't know how it all works. No.
I do.
If somebody walking by, an average person off the street, if they go, I don't want cameras following me around.
Yeah.
That's the normal response. To say, well, I'm protecting my marble countertops. That's, then don't do Airbnb.
And didn't we have a whole series of horror films in the early mid-2000s about hotels having cameras inside them?
That was for more than just that. It was I think it was one stupid movie called Sliver.
So
where the dude was just peeping on everybody in hotel apartments or something.
People were creeped out by them being in apartments or hotels, But you're going to make it okay for Airbnb?
Yeah, and that's Airbnb
Yeah.
being unrealistic.
Yeah, I mean, we already have a certain perception about our privacy, but yeah, I mean,
Yeah. So if you're an Airbnb owner and you have unrealistic expectations,
yeah,
you know, you're wrong, first off. And I get it if you can charge the money, but I think that there's a cost to doing business. Mm-hmm. If I'm going to pay a cleaning fee, I'm not cleaning. You know, otherwise you should pay me the cleaning fee, because that means that you don't have to come over after I'm gone and clean up after me.
Yeah.
So why charge me a cleaning fee and then charge me again if I don't clean? Yeah. No, not doing it. So we actually have another comment from Sean, who basically hit up our forum, and he's from Western North Carolina, and they went on vacation. So they were somewhere in Los Angeles, going to Disneyland or Disney World or whatever it is. They were out there hanging around, probably Anaheim somewhere.
Yeah.
Right. And the Airbnb owner was basically, they were staying in a guest house, was like, when you leave the guest house, turn off the air conditioner.
But it's LA.
It's hot.
Yeah, it's California.
Yeah, it's hot.
Yeah.
So it doesn't make any sense to me, right? And obviously they're either trying to save their own wear and tear, or maybe don't want to pay. Okay. Maybe they don't like the electricity bill or whatever. But it doesn't make sense, because here's the deal. If you have chilled air, for those of you who don't know what central air conditioning is,
yeah,
it takes longer to cool down a hot house than it does to keep a cooler house cool.
Yeah.
You understand California's lame and has things like rolling blackouts and everything else because they're not taking care of their own infrastructure. And if you're mad about that and you're from California, you're part of the problem. I used to live in California. When you have garbage leadership that does things like that, like rolling blackouts and stuff, and then, you know, starts to tell you, oh, you should pay more for gas and pay more for this and pay more for that, but they're not putting it into the, you know, the whole ecosystem. That's wrong. Anyway, I'm thinking of Gray Davis. That was the governor when I was there.
Oh, okay.
Garbage, man. Just arbitrarily cutting off people's powers, rolling blackouts. It was super hot, too. It's like, what do you do? Anyway. So they go on vacation. They're out there doing the thing, and they get a message basically saying, hey, every time you leave, turn off the air conditioning. So they're actually at Disney World or land, right? At Disney.
Yeah.
And when they had left, they left it on because they didn't want to come back to a hot house.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Well, the Airbnb owner called them and was like, hey, remember when you leave, you know, you're supposed to turn off the air. They're on vacation, right? Yeah. So he was angry, rightfully so, and I would be incensed. And he basically said, hey, look, you know, if I would have known this was the rules, if this was part of the thing, I wouldn't have rented from you. And you're like, well, if you don't like that, then, you know, yeah, don't rent.
Yeah.
If you're not going to pay attention to the rules, then don't rent.
That's ridiculous.
Yeah. And I get it, you know, and it's like, okay, I think at some point your Airbnb people need to really sort of take a look at what's going on, because it's not going to be, it takes a while for things to really get to aggravating people. And I don't think it's going to be too much longer before people are going to be like, I can go stay at a Howard Johnson's or something like that, or Hojo, or wherever you want to go, pay $89 a night, not be bothered. Or I can go stay in your crappy house and worry about drinking your orange juice, turn the air conditioner off, and pay like $189 a night, plus $200 cleaning fee, $85 deposit. Come on, man.
The best one I saw was the ridiculous rules like cleaning up after yourself and things like that. But then there was an additional rule on this one woman's, and it was, if you see my cat, please bring it inside. It escapes the house, so every time you happen to see it while you're outside, please put it in the house.
Why is your cat there? Now I got to be responsible for your pet?
Yeah, yeah. And that's exactly.
I mean, I understand Airbnb and the idea that you're staying in someone's home and all that, so you get a homey atmosphere and the home feeling, but come on, man.
And then she didn't feed the lady's cat. I guess when she left, she forgot to fill the cat food bowl up, and she got a negative review. And I'm like, so it's also your job to feed the cat too? And clean and do all that? It's like, come on, man. It was like this list of like these 20 horror stories, and it's just...
It's ridiculous. I mean, do the people a solid if they want to come stay in your Airbnb and leave them alone. Yeah. Charge them when they need to be charged. If they're basically using malicious, and I get where some people have set rules because they've had terrible tenants or whatever, renters, but it doesn't apply to everybody. Yeah. And it's the tone that gets set that and angers a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I still don't like Airbnb. And, who wants to go stay? Anyway, we're going to move back into the podcast. So I do appreciate Sean's comment. It's got me all worked up now. Thank you very much. And I understand where he's coming from with him being all worked up for his adventure. Yeah. He did mention that he enjoys listening to us and that it calms him down.
Good.
But not for us. Thanks, man. Well, it's all good, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm a little worked up too because when you put this next thing in the podcast, I got all excited, and I feel like I've been like clickbaited, catfished on this.
Well, you have. We all have.
Yeah.
So Amazon's Project Nessie, if you've never heard of it, you probably should have heard of it.
I thought it was actually about
cryptids.
Nessie. Yeah.
No, I thought about doing a clickbaity title like Amazon's Cryptid, but that would be.
Yeah.
So anyway, we mentioned at the beginning of the podcast that the comments that we had, one of our previous podcasts got sort of taken down or killed or whatever.
Yeah.
Not pointing any fingers. But evidently Amazon got in a little trouble.
Okay.
Now, this is something I've known or had a sneaking suspicion for a long time. It seemed like prices go up.
Mm-hmm.
And then before a holiday, the prices come back down a little bit to either still be more than what they were originally.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, I call it the okie doke.
Okay.
It's like, oh, let me take this price and raise it. We have all seen like prices go up if you do any kind of shopping on Amazon at all. It's like, oh, shoes were $12 on the weekend. Come Tuesday, they're $8. So it's like, why did they go up from, what's the deal? And
gummy vitamins are $11.99. You wake up the next day, they're $27.99.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
what Amazon has been doing is, and this is allegations from the basically Federal Trade Commission, is basically telling, hey, look, they're using a price gouging algorithm through an operation called Project Nessie. And it's basically information from court documents. And so FTC says that the algorithm generated more than $1 billion in excess profits for Amazon. And since online stores have to match Amazon's pricing to make sure they're getting the market price for their product, Amazon has been allegedly used an algorithm from 2015 to 2019.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's still going, but whatever, right?
Yeah.
And they were using this algorithm to figure out which products were being price matched, and then they'd raise the prices of those products, and that allowed Amazon to not be undercut by competitors while at the same time raising prices for the whole industry.
Which, made me instantly think of back, I want to say it was 2018, 2019, where a lot of the big box retailers, some of them which are now currently in trouble financially, made announcements that they would stop price matching Amazon specifically. And I know one of them was Walmart, and it made a lot of people upset because Walmart's Black Friday was always a deal, but then you're going to go try to add in like Amazon price comparisons.
Yeah, Walmart doesn't care. They did for a long time. They wouldn't even, I don't even know if they still do, they wouldn't accept like coupons. They're like, whatever, we don't care.
Best Buy was the other one because Best Buy had this thing where if you brought in a price match from Amazon, then they would have to beat it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So and that's kind of the reverse of what this article's talking about, but it would go back and forth because suddenly you'd go back on Amazon and try to get it for an even better deal, and suddenly it's changed.
Yeah. They used to at one time allow you to get on chat and return an item because you found it less expensive somewhere else.
Yeah.
So effectively what you were doing is feeding the algorithm.
Yeah.
I found this at a cheaper price. They're like, oh, you did you? You sure about that, bro? Here we go. And then all of a sudden the price goes up. Yeah. So basically Amazon didn't want to be undercut by competitors, so they just raised the prices for everybody. So at the end of the day, they make record profits, and then you pay more.
Yeah.
So they called it Project Nessie. And what they would do is they would turn it off during periods of heightened public scrutiny. So when people started complaining, hey, these Prime Day deals are crap because this was, $32 last week. Now it's $59 and Prime Day deals $44.
Yeah.
It's still $12 more than last time.
But why Nessie? I'm sorry. That's the thing that sticks out.
I think maybe somebody thought they were clever. Like you might see a lower price. You might not.
That's messed up.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So anyway, I'm glad they got caught, and I hope that the lawsuit that they have basically can go through and fix it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, maybe we'll because the lowest price that you see, like when it's a really good deal, is the price it is all the time.
It's almost like a minimum price.
Yeah. So basically, if you have a pair of shoes that's $29 and then it keeps going up and down or whatever, but then you find an amazing deal where the shoes are $21 or just say $17, that's the price it should be all the time. So they just arbitrarily sort of increase the price. So if everybody's selling the same bag, for example, like a tool bag I was looking at, right? I found the price of the tool bag, $15.99. And then I seen it $17.99. And then I seen it for $29.99. So everybody was selling the same product. Different sellers, same product. And then I seen it for $11.99. And then I seen it from a seller I've never heard of before selling it for $7.99. So what did I do? I bought the $7.99.
Yeah.
Right. And then I went back and said, I'm going to buy another one because I actually got it in the mail. I'm like, this is okay. This is worth $8 for a canvas tool bag.
Yeah.
And no, the price is the lowest I'd found it before the $7.99 was like $11.99. I couldn't find it for any less expensive than $15.99.
I'm trying to think of examples though, where, I mean, that's a good one, but I'm trying to think of a different type of example where this has actually proven to maintain that pricing industry. And what comes to mind, because you said $29.99, the first thing I thought of was Crocs. Crocs used to always be about $29.99. And now, like, the cheapest I can find Crocs in my size is at least $10 more, you know?
I can find them for $24.99.
Yeah, sometimes. And that's also because you have a unique size that's not as popular.
Yeah, it's big fat foot.
You know?
Size 14 Croc.
But for me, like, I'm over here rocking like a 5-year-old pair of Crocs now.
Well, that's part of the algorithm, right?
Yeah, they've never, the algorithm has set the price across the industry. So even if I get off of Amazon and go to crocs.com or go to some of the popular shoe retailers like Zappos, the price is always exactly the same as it is.
Because they got to compete.
That's dumb. So
yeah, but I mean, it's part of it. It is what it is.
Yeah.
So it's it's aggravating. So it's even more aggravating that they call it Project Nessie.
I was
So
like,
that's why we put it in
cool.
the podcast.
You know, first it's alien ring cameras, and now they were talking about the Loch Ness monster. Nope.
No, they're just getting caught for doing bad stuff. So I don't know what's going to happen in this court case or what the actual deal is. Who knows? Maybe some kind of, it's a 172-page complaint, so it's not like, you know, I mean, there's 17 state attorney generals. So this has got some teeth to it. They extracted over $1 billion from American households.
Yeah.
Unfair method of competition. So we'll see what happens. Who knows? Anyway, so this is something I thought was pretty interesting. You want to know what it is?
What?
I have to look and try to figure out where I was going to talk about it. Okay, so Reddit has things to read.
Yeah.
Subreddit stuff, and then you have paranormal stuff. You can find anything you want on Reddit. Everybody's an expert.
Oh. Okay.
And you get these armchair Redditors that will tell you straight up things you're doing will not work. And you're like, man, I've been doing this for years. No, you haven't. Or my favorite, well, then keep doing it wrong. It's like, okay, tough guy. You know, and you know that a lot of people comment have no experience, real, actual hands-on experience with things they're commenting on.
Okay.
Because it's just how Reddit is.
Reddit gets so
Yeah, they're cutthroat, man.
mean and grumpy that I don't spend as much time as I used to on it anymore.
Yeah, because you can't get a hug and a kiss on Reddit. You're like, hey, guys, I'm glad to be here. When and you just get
No, you're
blasted
not.
right out of the gate. Yeah? Well, you think you would have done an introductory post better than that. So, but what I found on the paranormal subreddit was this person looking for some kind of advice, and it kind of brought up a sort of a moral quandary, right? Mm-hmm. And the idea is that they are living with a person that has been experiencing sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
And that's cool and all, right? The person that's experiencing the sleep paralysis doesn't necessarily believe in any of this stuff.
Yeah.
Now, what gives it the sort of twist is two things. They keep calling it sleep paralyzer.
Yeah.
Which is funny. I have seen my girlfriend sleep paralyze this demon, right?
Yeah.
But they have seen it. So they're physically seeing this now.
So that's unusual.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
in sleep paralysis, you don't normally, it's not normally a shared experience. It's like the person that has it, you suffer from it and whatever, right?
Yeah. I mean, shared hallucination by itself is already a rare phenomenon.
Yeah, and that's super lame. And
Yeah.
somebody goes straight to that. You guys shared it's like, what, do we have a gas leak?
Yeah.
Are we both dying at the same time? I mean, I understand that, but the post goes like this. My girlfriend and I moved into a new apartment roughly 3 years ago. That's not a new apartment.
Okay.
It's an apartment.
Well, maybe before that they lived in a different apartment for 5 years.
Yeah, but that's not new, man.
Okay.
I mean, but I'm not trying to pick it apart. It's just there's some weirdness, right? She's since been suffering from weekly sleep paralyzes. Her brother used to have them when they were children, so she knew what it was right away.
Yeah.
She described it as being completely paralyzed besides breathing and moving her eyes, and most of the time she see a dark, tall figure moving around the apartment when they begin, or when they happen.
Yeah.
Sometimes she just hears him walking. Sometimes she sees him staring from the door. Sometimes he presses down on her chest, making it difficult for her to breathe. And she's a non-believer of the paranormal, but yet these sleep paralyzes terrifies her.
Yeah.
Now here's the really scary part. She can usually manage to wake me up during these by breathing quickly and loudly, so he hears her and knows what's going on.
Yeah.
I can then wake her from it, which enables her to move again, and the figure disappears. And what I haven't told her is that these past 2 months, I've seen the figure as well.
Ooh.
So right after I'm awoken, by her breathing, I can see it bent over her, pushing down on her ribcage. It always disappears the second I acknowledge it or try to wake her.
Oh.
I've also seen it standing in a hallway staring at me one night. In Home Alone, when I was watching a movie, I pretended I didn't see it, and it disappeared the next time I looked over.
That's creepy.
Now to the dilemma. Hence the reason why I put it in the podcast. Do I tell my girlfriend that I see her sleep paralyzes demon? Right? Mm-hmm. Because it might not be a regular sleep paralyzes demon, since I've seen it too, and at the same time as her. I don't want to scare her. She's already terrified from the sleep paralyzes, and that she feels it's basically certain that it's in her own head, and we can't afford to move. I think we can both live like this, given I never tell her the truth.
That's weird.
So they're looking for advice.
Yeah.
And so here's the question to you guys. Would you tell your non-believing significant other that you're seeing the thing that they think is in their head or not?
So I'm assuming that from this, she's not a believer in the paranormal. So she's rationalizing this sleep paralysis as something other, like medical or just, some sort of condition. But even though she's seeing the sleep paralysis demon, she's trying to justify it as not paranormal. And that's how they've been getting by for a while. Well, now that he's seeing it too, I'm torn because, you want that confirmation. But also, I'm the type of person where if I started seeing it, I would need to prove it to myself a few more times and possibly find a solution, like maybe, I don't know, whatever fixes sleep paralysis demons or other entities that we like to call observers. Do you sage the house? Do you bless the house? Do you do stuff with, to protect against that? Or do you try to get more evidence before you let her know that you're experiencing her sleep paralysis demon or that you're observing her sleep paralysis? Because I wouldn't want to tell her right away. Something in me, if I was this person, I'd be like, I gotta really confirm this before I break it to, the person I care about,
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it definitely depends on the situation and stuff. I would like to have a solution of some kind.
Yeah.
Kind of like what you're saying, but at the same time, does confirmation equal validation?
And that's
So if you confirm it and now you validate everything that she doesn't believe in, and now she believes, or she can't deny it now. I mean, if you could say, I've seen it, and you prove it somehow to her, then everything that she didn't believe in or didn't hold any sort of, feeling, which I just don't think that's real. Now it is real.
Yeah.
So if that becomes real, now you get to be scared of all sorts of things like demons coming and getting you, and things like exorcisms and ghosts and all this stuff is now a real thing, or something that has a lot more
bite to it,
validity than before. So you're just basically going to shake the whole world.
On top of that, if you feel that sleep paralysis demons or old hag or that phenomenon is real in the sense that there is an entity that is causing it, something paranormal. Well, the lore and, anecdotal stuff says that they feed off that fear and they feed off that uncomfortableness. So now you've basically created this bubble in your little apartment of just more and more fear from the validation. Yeah,
and from what this person wrote, I don't think it's a sleep paralyzes demon.
I know.
It's not an old hag. I mean, what is it? You're falling more into succubus or something else, or succubi, right? If she's already terrified.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. So the person did come back and edit their comment.
Yeah.
Or their post, basically. It says, you guys are scaring the shit out of me.
Yeah.
I was on the skeptic side and didn't truly believe it was something paranormal, but honestly getting a bad feeling now. So if this is a real post, because a lot of people that do post stuff like this go, hey guys.
Yeah.
To kind of keep things going and get Reddit cred or whatever.
Yeah. And I mean,
there's some pretty good comments in here, but
there's a lot in here that kind of just, at first you're like, is this typical Reddit stuff? But then, there's stuff like he keeps saying sleep paralyzers, which to me actually lends to the argument that this guy is not into the paranormal. He's genuinely writing something because he's experiencing something.
Or maybe he just wants you to think that.
Or, English might be a second language.
Yeah. But either way, it's an interesting topic. Yeah. Like, do you tell somebody who doesn't believe, I seen the thing that's been terrorizing you?
I mean.
And guess what?
What?
We don't know enough about it to do anything about it at all.
That's true.
If we move according to Reddit, they can follow you.
Yeah.
They've been followed throughout my life with this sort of thing. So what do we actually do?
Yeah.
And then you can get on the internet and try to find somebody or something that can come take a look at it. And then what are you going to get? Probably a paranormal investigation group cruising in there wearing the slick black T-shirts with extreme stuff going, hey guys. So what do you actually do? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because if you don't believe in this sort of thing, maybe you don't have any real faith. Maybe, because you kind of got to have a little bit of faith in whatever device you're using to sort of take care of the situation is actually going to get, in other words, you kind of got the intent and the belief in whatever tool you're trying to use to get rid of this issue. Either you have it or you don't. Because you can't just bring sage in there and wiggle around and go, hey, there you go. It's taken care of it. It's not a long lasting effect. That's why these people got to have conviction to it.
And right off the top of my head, I don't even remember offhand what you would do to approach sleep paralysis demons other than like what I did for you when you were in the hospital and you were having sleep paralysis.
Well,
Yeah. So is the supernatural or witchy type stuff a fix? Is it something else?
Well, would you have done it if you didn't believe in the stuff to a certain degree? No. There you go. It was maybe your intent and your belief that it was going to work actually did something. I think that's part of it. I think you can't just go to the Dollar Tree and buy sage and say, here we go.
Yeah.
Right. Now, if you believe in that kind of thing and you're all about it, then the tool doesn't necessarily matter where it comes from because you're going to basically juice it up with your own belief, your own intent, your own knowledge, and it's going to have much more of a bigger impact on the result. Yeah. I mean, because otherwise anybody could be an exorcist. Let me just read from this book and it's all taken care of.
I know. Especially some of these shows where you see people and it's like, this is obviously your third or fourth time trying to speak Latin.
Yeah. It's like you kind of got to believe in it.
Yeah.
At the same time though, if you don't know enough about it and you get a hold of somebody and they're like, we'll come investigate your place, and they don't really know what's going on either, you can either make things worse, or at the end of the day, you really don't know who to turn to and who to believe.
Or they bring the wrong.
Where did they get their authenticity? Yeah. And can you just trust somebody just randomly showing up?
Yeah. Or they bring the wrong energy into the situation.
Yeah. I'm going to antagonize it so we can force it out of here. It's like, that's probably the least effective thing you can do.
Yeah.
Let me go in there and make things worse.
Yeah.
Because at the end of all this, I'm going home.
I know, right?
And you got to stay.
Me and my film crew are heading back too.
I'm going to scare the crap out of you for hours and hours, and then we're leaving.
Yeah.
But here's our number. Give us a call. It's like, it wouldn't even be out of the driveway. You're calling, hey, man. So speaking of sleep paralyzes demons, we figured to just figure out some different names, and there's some 13 different names for sleep paralysis demon.
Yeah.
From around the world. We're not going to tell you all of them because that's boring.
Oh, okay.
I mean, because they're just it's.
Well, okay. So the one that the number one is mare, which yes, the word nightmare once came from this. It's an old English word with debatable connections to adult female horses. However, it's likely derived from a Proto-Indian European root meaning mare, which is to harm. And I believe it's in the female, typically female association. So a demon who paralyzes sleepers and suffocates them. This suffocation is hallmark of sleep paralysis across multiple cultures. And it's believed that the mare riding or sitting upon people for sinister pleasure, making this a phantasmagoric being that is closely related to the succubi.
Yeah, and this comes from you can see that picture that everybody uses to basically show you what a sleep paralysis demon looks like, and it's based off a painting. It's called The Nightmare by Henry Fusel.
Yeah,
from like 1871, where he's got the little hairy demon sitting on this maiden's chest.
Yeah,
and off in the shadows is a horse.
Yeah. A mare
horse looking at him. And so the sleep paralysis demon is looking at you, looking at them kind of thing.
Yeah.
And, it's called A Nightmare, if you want to look it up. Yeah. 1781, oil on canvas.
Now there's one that's not as interesting, but I just wanted to say it on the podcast. Hexendrucken.
Yeah.
And I'm like, it's like a nightmare turducken. That's what I thought of immediately. But apparently that has links to the Salem witch trials, but,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a fun to say German word that translates into witches pressing.
Yes. The kanashibari, which is Japanese, sleep paralysis, and it translates to bound in metal, combining the words kana and shibari, or shibaru, so metal and to bind. It's got its links to supernatural beings known as the yokai, who are known to possess people, but this one also is related to the medieval Japanese spell practiced by priests to immobilize or expel an assortment of cunning supernatural beings, the yokai.
This one's hard to pronounce. It's called Old Hag. This is Britain and the Americas, and in particular Canada's Newfoundland province.
Yeah.
Or province. Old hag is one of the most common colloquialisms for sleep paralysis. It's sometimes known as the night hag.
Yeah.
And it basically expands on the persistent witch mythology, where a withered crone perches on top of the sleeper's chest and holds them down. Old hag. Let's do one more.
Okay.
Yeah, you get to pick.
I don't know.
All right, Popobala.
Oh, okay.
It's an evil spirit from the Tanzanian archipelago of the Zanzibar, right? Now, this one's kind of nasty. Its name means batwing in Swahili.
Oh, okay.
And it's a reference to the shadow cast by the spirit, which is a shapeshifter and can take any form. And it first appeared in the mid-1960s on the island of Pemba after a political revolution.
Oh.
Yeah. And the idea of it caused basically a nocturnal phantom, right? This whole thing. It created a little bit of a panic in 1995 that culminated in murder.
Wow.
So they had a group panic.
Yeah.
And then bad stuff sort of came. So if that thing did exist, I'm sure it got a lot more powerful after that. When you start adding the whole group think.
Yeah. Mass hysteria.
Yeah. That's the whole idea behind, what is it when everybody believes in something that becomes real?
A tulpa?
Slender Man?
Tulpa.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
It's not a tulpa.
Stop.
It's just, yep.
So.
Anyway, that's boring.
Oh.
We'll move on.
Okay. I finally figured out how to say that Greek one.
Say it.
Pan-ephalates.
Is it though?
Yeah.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about, since we referenced demons a second ago, we're going to talk some more about demons and the fact that demons are just overdone. Right. So many shows, especially some of these ghost hunter shows, everything's a demon. And we're not talking about just Ghost Adventures. There's other shows too.
Yeah. We started watching one or getting back into trying to watch one recently, and we didn't even make it.
Well, there was new episodes. So these people went and they did a show.
Yeah.
And it became obvious, if you've ever been sort of remotely involved in this stuff, that they didn't know what they were doing.
Yeah.
And that things got out of hand, regardless of saying or stating, I've done this for years and years. And it's like, well, maybe you have, but no, you haven't, because I'm just watching the dog try to jump up there, knock stuff over. But so anyway, they were out of their element, right? So the experiences they had, it was just a thing. And part of it is that the person that was having the experiences and invited them there in the first place had some weird stuff going on.
And also not
like mentally, so it was sort of a thing. But
yeah.
There's been some polls taken by this website, Higgy Pop.
Well,
we've got a couple. There's 2 links to this thing that I was trying to look at. But
what I was trying to say was that show that we were trying to get into, what bothered me watching that show was they didn't even get 4 minutes in, not including commercial breaks, before the word demon popped up.
Yeah. Now, I mean, some of that's probably the editing involved, because you really can't do it, film it, and edit it yourself all at the same time.
True.
It's just impossible, because then you got one person who's not involved because they're worried about cameras and everything else. It just becomes a thing.
But just that experience alone goes to, the title of this article, which is 73% of viewers think demons are overdone in paranormal reality shows.
Yeah, I kind of agree with them.
And
not everything's a demon.
Yeah. I mean, when it comes to these ghost hunting shows, the trend that can't be ignored seems to be nearly every paranormal investigation now, there's demons involved. Like almost all of them. I don't think we've seen a paranormal show recently that doesn't have a demon.
So it just makes you wonder if you talk about it and then everybody else talks about it and it just becomes commonly picked up as this is the way it is, then you know what I mean? It's like, oh, well, everybody's seeing demons, demon, so everything is a demon.
And then
it just becomes accepted.
That harkens back to, what we've tried to progress forward from. Like, not everything is a UFO. Not everything's a ghost. And now, in this particular community, everything's a demon. And that bothers me. And it's bothering viewers as well, because 73% of the people that responded to the survey said there were too many episodes or shows focused on demons.
Yeah, and one of the answers in this thing, or one of the questions was, where do you typically find the most credible paranormal shows?
Oh.
Traditional television got 18%, streaming services got 20%, wow. YouTube channels, 33%.
That's pretty cool.
Dedicated paranormal streaming service was 11%, and then other. Others probably TikTok or something like TikTok.
Huh.
And then, what frustrates you the most when watching these shows? Over dramatization, lack of evidence. So that over dramatizing everything, the 64% lack of evidence was 11%. In other words, they don't care if you don't get anything.
Yeah.
Not a deal breaker. Repetitive locations is 1%. Inauthentic investigators, 18%.
I'm surprised that's so low. I really am.
Yeah.
And then...
Well, okay, so if they're talking about one of the most popular shows out there...
Yeah.
Which has been around the longest of all the shows, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
They have a tendency to make everything overdramatic.
Yeah.
Right, so they can not like that. But they can also think that these people are authentic in what they do. Because whether you believe in them or not, they're out there doing it.
Yeah.
Consistently. For many years.
And for that particular show, yes, I fully agree.
And I kind of think that that's where a lot of this is geared to.
Yeah.
Because, there are other shows out there. And then, granted, Higgy Poppin' is European, mainly in England.
Yeah.
But it's still a popular... It's still... Ghost Adventures is still a really big thing.
Yeah. But then...
Everybody's heard of it.
If we took that out of the equation, which you pretty much can't, I would think that inauthentic investigators would be way higher.
But you'd have nothing to compare it to. That's the problem.
Yeah, that's the problem.
They're all wearing the black T-shirts. They all look like Billy the Exterminator to a certain degree, right? Going in there, hey, you checking it out?
They all have more gel in their hair. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, there's some people out there that I think rock the look. They've earned the look, and they can pull it off.
Okay.
Now, Billy the Exterminator, if you remember that show from back in the past, I mean, to me, he was a hot topic kind of guy, right? He's still around, and he's older, and he still looks the same. So he's taking it, and he's like, this is it. I'm going to die this way, right? And I get that. But we know people that kind of have this look to a certain degree, but they meet the criteria of being able to pull it off with the leather and the black, like T-shirts and clothes and all that stuff. Because they have a rock band. They're in a band, right? They're doing the research. They're doing the shows and the movies and stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, okay, so I think they've kind of earned it. And then you've got some paranormal investigators like, I'm going to order some T-shirts. We're all going to match, right?
We're going to order a 5-pack of these off-black T-shirts.
And we're all going to match, and we're going to do this, you know? And so I think that when you see people like that, there's a lot of people that maybe watch this stuff on the outside that think that that's what you're supposed to look like. And yet if you're just a regular person showing up wearing like a windbreaker because it's going to be cold and wearing sneakers, that they're authentic, that they're inauthentic because they don't have the look. They don't have the paranormal investigator uniform.
Okay, so that kind of goes into a very uncomfortable conversation about lowest common denominator and what appeals to different people.
Well,
because to counter that, you also have the group of shows where everybody seriously looks like some part-time English professor at some like hipster college.
Yes.
Or looks like they bought part of their gear off of like Amazon's top 25 steampunk items you need for this year. Very specific, you know?
Yeah.
So you also have that group of people. So
what was she doing over there?
she was trying to scratch her upper shoulder, which was very hard.
Oh.
So
Our dog was making a weird face.
well, it's shedding season, which also
Shedding season.
also means it's orb season, so
Gross.
brush your dogs.
Yes.
Yeah, so you don't have flying orbs around in all your ghosty pictures.
So how do you feel about the number of episodes or shows focused on demons? 73% said too many, it's just overdone.
It really is.
Now, out of those 73%, 19 said, that's just right. And then 7% said, not enough.
Those people, we need to have a talk with them. What do you mean there's
I don't want to talk to them.
I know.
So would you like to see more local folklore and legends integrated into episodes? And you think this number would be really low, and it's not. It's really high.
Really?
Well, I think that a lot of people watch this stuff. They don't really care. Now, it could be that these people are just lying.
That's true.
And say, well, I need to, I don't want to be the lowest common denominator survey answerer.
Yeah.
I would like more history, and I'd like legends and lore. You give me a little bit of information about it, so I can, whatever, make an informed decision, kind of whatever. I want to be credible. My viewership needs to be credible. To what extent does the use of ghost hunting technology affect the credibility of the show? Okay. Significantly adds to credibility is 27%. Somewhat adds to credibility is 34%. I think I know, if we were to use American shows, what show that this is referring to.
Oh.
Remember, is it Ghost Hunters?
No.
The plumbing guys? Is that Ghost Hunters? What's the name of that show? It's changed names a couple of times.
Yeah, ghost hunters are plumbers. They're roto-rooter.
Yeah, they were, but I mean, they didn't use hardly anything at all. And then you had other shows that used a lot more technology.
Mm-hmm.
And so it was sort of the opposite. You had regular looking guys, and then you had the black shirt Las Vegas guys.
Yeah.
And now I think if you want to do a show, you have to have some technology. It's expected.
Yeah.
So I don't think there's any way around it. I think if you watch a person investigate with a flashlight and talking about it, nobody's going to, I don't think it's going to be nearly as, it would be more interesting if you were there experiencing it yourself. But if you're just walking around with a camera crew, come on, man, I got to have some flashing lights or something, because how am I supposed to know what's going on?
I mean, there are a couple of those social media accounts where it is very bare bones equipment, and those seem to do well.
Yeah, but they still have stuff.
Yeah. Some stuff, yeah.
You got to have something.
Yeah.
You got to have some kind of flashy cat toy or something.
Yeah.
So the survey was kind of nice, but then at the same time, right next to it on the same page says distrust of paranormal TV shows is sending viewers to YouTube, and this is something that we had talked about.
Yeah.
Where I kept trying to say, hey, look, we should watch some of these videos. These two kids that are under like 30 something or whatever have like 4 million views every time they publish a video, and they're going to the same places that you see on TV.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people don't actually watch these shows on TV anymore because they're done, and they've been watching them on YouTube, or they started out watching them on YouTube and never bothered to watch the shows.
Yeah.
Those people would be youngsters.
For me, I tried to watch some of the ones like you would send me for YouTube, and I was getting annoyed because I have regular YouTube, so I had to watch all the ads over and over again. And then I got so annoyed with that I went on to TikTok and watched some stuff, but then I went on to regular TV where literally it was less than 2 minutes of showtime commercial. So I was like, well, man, I should have just went back onto YouTube.
Yep, should have stuck with it.
Yeah.
Yep.
But
so, people are getting their fixes from basically YouTube. They did a survey, again, that says 18% of those responded to the survey that they published, and they said that they typically find most credible paranormal shows on traditional television. Mm-hmm. Of the more than 1,000 responses, 33% said they head to YouTube for credible paranormal content.
So only 18% felt
TV was legit.
Yeah, but nearly 33% said, let's go to YouTube.
Now, here's the thing, though. I would like to know their ages and demographics, because you have a whole generation of people that don't watch TV traditionally. Mm-hmm. They're on their phone.
Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense. They got a little phone. Right? Why would I want to go sit in the living room with my annoying family when I can just watch it on YouTube?
But then I also, part of my job every day, I deal with people who they don't trust the phone. They don't trust anything on the phone, whether it's Google Maps or a tutorial on how.
And how old are those people?
Yeah, that is a totally different.
Those are the kind of people that are like, hey, why would I look on my phone for map directions?
Yes.
Yeah. And those people, unfortunately, I'm not going to say anything because, I mean, look, I'm in my 50s. I use technology. There's no excuse to not use technology. The distrust of it, it's like, what do you distrust? Telephones and vaccinations? I mean, it's like, what is it, right? There's no excuse, man.
Yeah.
I mean, my dad can rock a phone. So he gets the text messages out. He's interacting with people. He's doing the stuff. He's attaching pictures, bringing in pictures to his healthcare providers and stuff. And you got people that are like, well, I don't believe in phone advertising. Why would I You've got the people that watch videos vertically, and you got people that watch videos horizontally.
I'm going to hold on to horizontal for a while.
Well, horizontal is great.
Yeah.
Because it puts on a big screen, but at the same time, no, man, sometimes it's not.
But
all the content that you're out there that you should be gearing your social media towards should be small device.
In the meantime, today I got politely told off about recommending someone watch some videos about an area in the Blue Ridge Mountains before they visit. And they were like, well, do you have any magazines about it? How about you just watch this video?
Yeah.
Do you have any articles? Yeah, on the internet.
It's like you have the world's information in the palm of your hand, and you want to go walk 1,000 miles through the desert to talk to an oracle. You know what I mean?
Do you have a printer so I can print out the directions?
No, it's in your hand. Yeah. It's all in your hand. You want a pizza? In your hand. Yeah, it's annoying.
Can't you just tell me?
I could. Let me see your phone. Your phone will talk to you. And it's not going to change. Technology is what it is. You can either be a part of it or be left behind. It kind of becomes a thing.
Yeah.
So when they did this particular poll, it said paranormal television survey results, right? It says investigators, 15%, and that's what attracts you to the paranormal show.
Yeah.
Locations was 26%.
Huh.
45% was evidence presented. So it seemed like on YouTube it seemed like they were almost more likely they just want the evidence and they don't particularly care too much about the investigators or locations. They want to see the good stuff.
Yeah.
Get me to the point. Right?
Yeah.
I don't have time to sit through an hour of your show for you to show me 2 minutes of stuff. I want to see it. I got stuff to scroll on to.
Yeah.
And I get it. That's why shorts and short form content has become so popular. Give it to me.
Yeah.
Now, I think that's wrong because it takes concentration levels and throws them in the trash. But at the same time, traditional learning and education when it comes to it's going to have to change because you've got kids these days that can't just do the one thing. They got to multitask and do 3 different things at the same time.
Yeah.
Or small bursts, right? I'm going to work on this for 2 minutes and I'll work on this for 3 minutes and go back and forth. And they put kids in chairs, right? And say you need to sit perfectly still for an hour where I'm going to drone on about one thing. The education needs to change.
I can't even do that now.
I mean, I could, but it's painful. That's where kids daydream and do all that stuff. But the way kids are these days, they just don't care.
Now I'm old enough that not only can I not do that now, if you try, I'm old enough that I might just fall asleep and take a nap.
Yeah, I'm not scared to sleep on you. It's like, oh, was I sleeping? And you're like, you should care more about your class. This is a reflection on you, man.
Oh, that one Bigfoot talk I almost fell asleep in. Oh, yeah. That was not good. So.
Well, it's a long day. I don't think people understand that when you go do like an event, you're showing up at 9, like, hey, it's like, I've been asleep since 4:30.
Or awake since 4:30.
Yeah, I've been awake since 4:30 and I drove 8 hours to get there and I didn't sleep beforehand. And, we do these events and it's like, by the time we're done, I'm done.
Yeah.
There's been a couple where it's like, we have a camper van and I need to use it for about 2 hours. I'm going to stop at this rest area and I got to take a nap or I'll kill us on the way home.
Let's just stop at this haunted campground someplace in the Smokies.
Yeah, sounds great. Let's take a tour of Bigfoot stuff. Okay, we bought the ticket to go in there and check it out, right? Yeah, we're in the park. Cool. I'm taking a nap.
Yeah. So
keep my receipt so I can show it to the ranger. What are you doing? Just taking a little nap, brother.
Investigating.
It's like, heck yeah. I went and walked around and checked it out. Your park was so boring, I had to take a nap. It's so serene. That's the correct word. It's serene. It's amazing. What do you mean? There's a train that runs through here. It's like, oh, man. Yeah, it's a little bit different with this particular poll versus the other one. Do you believe that paranormal reality TV shows accurately portray paranormal investigations?
No.
60% said nope. No, I'm sorry. 60% said somewhat. No, not at all was 35%. 5% said yes. So this is distrust of the television shows based off what they're seeing like on places like YouTube.
Yeah.
Where would you find traditionally credible paranormal shows? 18% was television, streaming was 20%, YouTube channels 33%. So it's kind of the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So people are going to YouTube. It's the sort of, they've asked some of the same questions. They can over dramatization is the same thing.
Yeah.
I don't care.
The one thing though, because we were talking about the earlier article talking about how the inclusion of a demonologist in some of these demon shows may or may not, actually help the show. And in this one, the way they asked the question, it meant 30% of the poll takers felt it significantly detracted from the credibility of a show.
Is having the expert there.
Yeah. However, having a psychic medium, 24% says no impact, 24% said somewhat adds to credibility, and only 15% said detracts from credibility.
See, it's kind of weird, right? Because I don't understand. I guess the way mediums are presented, that anybody could be a medium. Everybody has the gift to a certain extent. And through training and stuff, that you can become better.
Yeah.
And then you have some mediums that are that way.
Yeah.
And they have more of a gift, and they've developed it over time, and they've used it.
Yeah.
To their experience level, and they become more, I guess, spot on in some of their predictions or whatever you want to call them, right? Readings.
Yeah.
And I can see that, but you also have to kind of be a little skeptical and go, they edit this.
Yeah.
So if you got a production crew and you're somebody out there and you're giving a reading, right? You're blindfolded and they drag you in there. They do it on all the shows too, right? So they're going to kidnap somebody like Chip Coffey and throw him in a place and say, what do you feel? And he does a good job. I like the way he does his thing. And I like it when he gets fired up.
Yeah.
Starts dropping F-bombs and stuff.
Or arguing with the entity.
And he's usually, because he but they also edit it. So you see him make 3 or 4 statements, and you also see like Michelle
Belanger.
Yeah, make 3 or 4 statements, but like, how do they really talk? I mean, they got to know more than just the 3 highlights. Like, who decides, I want to hear, him talk for 10 minutes?
Yeah.
Because then when I watch the show, maybe I can get a little bit of better understanding than, slamming it all in there.
Yeah.
These are the 3 biggies, like, because there's always details that come from nuance, right? So I would like to see more of the medium and less of the running around screaming demons.
Yeah.
And there's some shows that used to bring people on all the time, and now they've stopped doing that.
That's what I was going to say. There used to be some shows. Unfortunately, nowadays, one of those shows is highly debated, Paranormal State, and they would just let Chip or Michelle's brother just wander around.
Yeah, evidently that show, Paranormal State, aside from all the problems it had, is back. Not actually as a show, but as an investigation group. And sometimes you see videos and stuff where the person that allegedly embezzled a bunch of money and didn't go to jail for it is out there doing it again, doing their thing. Okay. And doesn't seem to have any sort of remorse or anything.
Huh.
Yeah. And I think that person kind of burned Chip. I don't know for sure. I mean, this is just speculation. Burned Chip Coffey and tarnished his reputation, and burned the other guy, Chad or Chaz or whatever that guy's name is.
And what's her face, who's now working with
Katrina Weidman.
Yeah.
Burned him too, or burned her too. He burned. So it's a thing.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I would like to see more mediumship beyond there. And there is a show that's basically one skeptic and then one medium. It's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
And I like that show.
Yeah.
He's a retired New York City detective who basically, I think he believes a whole lot more than he lets on. Because I've seen him say some things. Or one of them sort of, anyway, because that show's been around for a long time. But I seen where they were doing like reveal. I can't think of too many details about that particular episode other than the person that got the information sort of made an offhanded comment about Amy, and he just blasted that guy.
Yeah.
And I was like, you go, man. So Steve has he's got some.
The dead files.
Yeah. He's got that whole, you're not going to talk crap, sort of thing. Steve DeShavi, there you go. That's his name. I haven't watched that show in a while either. And to be honest with you, there's a lot of shows I just have stopped watching because there's so many.
Yeah.
Now, I lucked out, getting to be locked down and COVID and stuff with a broken neck and not being able to do anything. That's all I watched was this paranormal shows.
Lucky.
Well, it wasn't, you were there? What are you talking about, lucky? There was a lot of shows you were there. But in my first, month, it was all DIY shows. I watched them. You know why? Because if you can take a broken piece of crap and fix it and put it on TV or whatever, that was something. So it put me in the mindset. It did. It actually helped. Although the first 2 or 3 days in the hospital when I was trying to figure things out, it was this weird fishing show that would come on in Florida or something. That was a great show because there was like a 60-inch TV on the wall. So I woke up and it was like full blown.
The TV kept defaulting to that, and I started to get mad because I started to wonder if whether one of the nurses kept putting it back on, because I do not like fishing shows.
Well, we had our own experience there, and
or if it was somebody messing with the TV.
I think it was both. Honestly, to be completely honest, I think it was one nurse.
Oh.
That you got a great joy out of being a real a-hole to patients. Because he was a shifty little dude. Mm-hmm. And in the real world, out in town, he would get a beating from me. It's like, you're a tough guy in here when you got somebody who can't move.
Yeah.
Because that was the dude that was tried to whisper crap in my ear, and I had to let him have it. So, but that was a weird experience. I've seen lots of dead people in that hospital.
Yeah.
It was very odd. I don't know, weird experience. So I get some of it, but yeah. Anyway, that was something.
Okay.
It wasn't exciting. Anyway, I'm done. I think we have talked long enough.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Questions, comments, concerns, use the Contact Us form on the CreepGeeks.com website, or, again, join us on social media. We have got that active Facebook group. Mostly it's fun stuff, but we are looking for more fan and listener interaction. Come in there, share your ideas, feedback, show suggestions, what have you. Everything we've talked about, including our social media, is going to be in the show notes for each podcast episode. So go to the show notes, click on the links, and thanks for tuning in.
Yeah. Remember that time we went to West Virginia to the Mothman Museum and the TNT area and all that stuff?
Yeah.
And Chip Coffey was there?
No.
Yeah, I pointed him out to you. There he is.
Did you?
Yeah.
I don't remember that.
Yep. Minivan. The whole deal. Parked like right beside us.
See, I didn't think it was him.
I told you it was, and you were like, yes, it is.
And then, yeah, because what was it, 3 or 4 months later, we saw the show or something?
No, he made some comments, or he posted a couple pictures.
Oh, yeah.
About his adventure. And, yeah, I'm like, wow. Because I looked for the van.
Yeah.
We were right next to him.
Yeah.
So Chip, if you happen to hear this or whatever, we seen you, and we were going to say hello, but that would have been inappropriate, so we didn't.
Yeah.
So, but we did get Mothman Pizza.
Yes.
So that was
we got to go back up there, so... Yeah.
We could, because you can stay in the TNT area overnight. And if it wasn't like 12 degrees, it'd be, yeah. It's just cold enough for people to be doing nefarious things at night.
Yeah.
We're investigating. Could be either one.
Yeah.
Or both. So anyway, do appreciate you taking the time to listen. So if you have any questions, comments, concerns, let us know. See you later. Take it easy. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Are you looking to start a podcast? Then see this episode's show notes for our unique promo code to get up to 2 months of free podcasting service with Libsyn when you sign up for a new account. Get your show on Apple and Spotify. Get helpful audience building stats and all the support you need to sound your best. They can even do video. Bring your podcast to life and have your voice heard here, there, and everywhere with Libsyn. Again, see our show notes for our unique Libsyn promo code and get podcasting.